national team will soon say farewell to Vancouver, British Columbia. They will fly south to Southern California at the weekend for their knockout stage match against South Africa. That's right. We have some new information since the last time Bet365 for the win was on the air. It's a beautiful home for the beautiful game. My name is Adam Jenkins, joined today by two Hall of Famers, Amy Walsh and Jimmy Brennan. We will also check in with Christian Jack in Vancouver. We have Oliver Platt at Toronto Stadium and Arash Madani from Saskatoon. It's a proper coast-to-coast program today, ladies and gentlemen. And with our Hall of Famers, let's dive in and get some reaction from two people who have represented this country on the international stage. And I'll start with you, Amy. Canada 1, Switzerland 2, so close with that last push to winning the group. Perhaps it was a blessing in disguise based on the opponent we have, but we'll get to all of that. Let's start with the performance and the result as Canada lose their last group stage game to Switzerland.
Yeah, I think it's okay to feel a little bit disappointed. I think that the team has earned that in the way that they grew into this tournament. Better second half versus Bosnia. A great performance versus Qatar. It was comprehensive in nature, but a little bit curious with the way that they started this one, where I was frustrated by a passive and reactive Canada. They were up against a quality team in the Swiss. They were professional, they were pragmatic, but the urgency of the last 20 minutes, I think, pointed to what Canada could have brought in a comprehensive performance. And we can get caught up in the details, but the reality is two things can be true. We could have beaten the Swiss at our best, and it was there for the taking. And we are at the point in this program's development that it's fair to have those expectations so we can feel a little bit deflated. But I think at the same time, we can celebrate the milestones. We can celebrate the first point. We can celebrate the first win. And we can also celebrate the fact that this team is going into knockouts for the first time ever. So conflicted, a little bit deflated, but ultimately what's next up is the round of 32.
Jimmy Brennan.
No, I agree. I agree with Dubs and what she was saying. I think, keep in mind, it was a game that we thought we should be able to win, but you're playing against an experienced Swiss side that have been there before, that have done it. I just thought their movement was very good. The way that they closed down, they limited space, and they made it difficult for us at times. And yes, of course, we end up conceding 2-0. Second half was a little bit different now because we had to be on the front foot, and the Swiss ended up dropping a little bit deeper, which tends to happen all the time. Should we have got something out of it? Yes. But am I happy where we are? 100% I am. And when I look at this tournament and thinking we got our first point, we got 3 points after that, winning 6-0. We've made history so far. We've got to the round of 32. And I think with the matchup, I think it actually suits us better than what it would have done if we ended up winning the group and who we would have played. So I think this South Africa match just suits us, and it gives us an opportunity now to get into that group of 16 and make history again. So overall, throughout this tournament, I've been very pleased with the way that we played. Yes, a little bit disappointed because I felt we should have got something, but overall, I am happy with this team.
Yeah, so now we can officially look back on Group B as all four nations have played all three of their matches. 2 wins, a draw, no defeats for the Swiss. They are through, and win on 7 points. As it stands, they would play Algeria in the next round. Bosnia and Herzegovina, same amount of points as Canada, but of course the goal differential works heavily in Canada's favor. And now, literally just official, Bosnia and Herzegovina will play the United States of America on July the 2nd. So results are pouring in. We are getting closer and closer to a full knockout picture. And we do know that the South Africans are next. But before we get there, Jimmy, if we were to give a letter grade to Canada, what would you give them for this group stage?
I'm going to give Canada a B+. B+. And the reason being because I think going into this tournament, there was a lot of people that were skeptical about it, thinking, no, maybe we'll get 3 points or maybe we'll get 2. And I think they've shocked a lot of people. Against that game against Bosnia, I thought the performance in the first half wasn't great. Second half, we grew into the game. Now, we've got to understand as well, that's the first match of a World Cup. There was a lot of energy that was used. There was a lot of mistakes that were made in that first half. And as we started to grow into the game, you really saw who we were as a country, as a nation. Our identity started to come out. And we felt again that we should have won that game. And then what they did was they took that second half, brought it to Qatar, and we ended up winning 6-0, which we made history. And then again, a decent performance, especially in the second half against Switzerland. So overall, and where we are, how we got to the round of 32, I'm giving this Canadian national team a B+.
Emmy's nodding.
I'm nodding. I'm curious, Jimmy, if you ever received a B+ on any of your report cards.
I will show you. I had many B+. Thank you very much, Dubs.
Okay, well, Group B, I am also going with B, but minus the plus. I'm just going with a straight up B. And I'm going to echo a similar sentiment to Jimmy, where I feel like Canada has grown into this tournament. I think, a pedestrian, slow, nervy first half versus Bosnia. Shook off the cobwebs. You got your scorers. You got your prolific scorer, your talisman going in Jonathan David in Game 2. Yeah, I got Kyle Larin with his fingers in his ears, tuning out all the noise in Game 1. And then I think the reference point is not only the performance versus Qatar and the way that they scored 6 goals, but it was comprehensive in nature. And then the in-game response is what I'm going to highlight. So not only the individual performance and rising to the occasion with Nathan Saliba being subbed into the game, scores the free kick, talks his captain out of it, and he's going to take it himself, whips it in, holds up the Kone jersey. That's the type of response that they're going to need to recover, regroup on a short rest to go into the round of 32. So this team, and hopefully you've got, some insurance coming, you've got some players that were maybe put to the side and saved for this game, and maybe this is a little bit of pragmatism by Jesse Marsh. We can maybe dig into that later, so that maybe a guy like Davies is available, maybe a guy like Bambito is ready to go. But I think Canada's got something up their sleeve, and hopefully it's another good response like they showed versus Qatar.
So yesterday, shortly after the full-time whistles, we heard from coaches, we heard from players, and the reaction was immediate. It was raw, and it was probably more on the disappointed side than it was on the what's to come side. Well, fortunately, with the benefit of a good night's rest to think it all over, training happened today. Christian Jack was there in Vancouver and was able to catch up with some of the players and get some more, let's say, properly thought out reflections on the group stage and what's to come for Canada.
Canada trained here on Thursday at the Vancouver Whitecaps complex at the University of British Columbia. It was a light training day for many of the players who participated in the Wednesday clash against Switzerland. We did get to speak to head coach Jesse Marsh, who was in a bit of a reflective state, obviously looking back at what has happened here at the World Cup for Canada over the 3 games, well, both in Toronto and Vancouver, and of course looking ahead now to Los Angeles against South Africa.
Obviously we wanted to stay in Canada and play in front of our fans and use all of that energy, but it's also a big mental load on our team, like all the being around town, people around the hotel. It's a little bit of a circus, I mean, it's one we've really enjoyed, but I do think that going away will give us a little bit more pause and calmness around the experience and make sure that we can focus in totally on exactly what the match is, which I think will be good for us, even with the mental and physical loading that I'm talking about. There's no doubt we wanted to stay here in Canada, right? There's no doubt, because it's been an incredible experience, and the fan support has been like, remember when I said it was going to be bigger than the World Series and everyone's like, oh, Marsh is an idiot. Like, it's been a national movement. It's been incredible to watch. I'm really proud of the country, and I'm really proud that our team inspired the country, right? And so, but we're going to continue, like, we're right where we want to be. We're in the knockout phase. We're getting healthier.
So according to Marsh, they're getting healthier. Or is it a decoy? We don't know what to believe anymore, but we know we have to believe sometimes what he speaks to us around the updates of injuries. So I asked him about that today in the press conference. In particular, what about Stefan Eustáquio?
We were hopeful that Steph would be available to start, but he didn't feel like he was. So we had to pivot. And then I'll address Alfonso. Like, it's funny that some people want to say, like, why was I using Alfonso as a decoy? Like, it's the World Cup. Like, we're not like playing a friendly match. This is a competitive environment where we want to win, and any advantage we can get, even if it's a 2 or 3% advantage where the opponent has to think a little bit more, then we want them to have to do that. So I'm certainly not apologizing for that, and we will continue to find little ways in our messaging how to be clear on who we are and what we want to achieve in matches and in moments, but also find competitive advantages. So, so in general, I think Steph should be ready to go. He's going to do a regen day today to make sure that he's fully ready to go, because we're lightening things. And your other one was and Moyes is, I think, also prepared to start. So we'll make some decisions on what we think is best.
In addition to that, Marsh would later say that he expects Alphonso Davies to play on Sunday. Read into that what you will. Let's move on from injuries and into the performance. Obviously, Switzerland were a very good side here against Canada. The better side outmatched them for many areas. But what can Canada do better? And what was Jesse Marsh happy about, in particular, in the clash against the Swiss?
The last 25 minutes, I told him, was inspiring. And with 10 minutes left, I was sure we were getting the second goal. And I think if the game goes another 3-5 minutes, that we wind up getting the draw. We're still trying to establish how to be better from the start, and how to, everything from what is the match plan that and the staff that we're choosing to put together, and how we're preparing them to make sure that they're ready to be at their best. But let's also be really clear, Switzerland is good, really good team.
And so to their opponents, South Africa, much like Canada, making their World Cup knockout debut on Sunday at SoFi Stadium. It's quite remarkable that Canada gets South Africa despite finishing second in the group. Yes, we spoke yesterday about the misfortune that Canada has in leaving home base here in Vancouver to go to play in the US, but this is a gift of an opponent, and an opponent that many Canadians could only have dreamt of when looking at the matchup at the start of the World Cup. Remember this, some teams that finish second in the group have to play group winners like Argentina and Spain. This is definitely a favourable draw for Canada. Here's Jesse Marsh on Sunday's opponents.
Physically in transition and around the goal, being very decisive and athletic and powerful. So, those are things that we usually are equipped with, and so that will challenge our ability to manage that. And I think our job will be, can we then still tilt the game by how we think about organizing ourselves and the tactics we try to employ, to eliminate some of their ability to be in open space and use their individual talents and their small combinations among a few players. And then they defend well. South Africa, if you watched the game last night, I think when many people were expecting South Korea to dominate that game, it was actually the other way around. And what you see in South Africa is a team that's very physical, that in open spaces is very athletic, and has a lot of belief right now in what they're doing. So I was impressed with South Africa in this match, and it really, as the match was going on, as much as you would say that, South Korea is the better team, at the end of the game, what you see is that South Africa earned that result, and they were the better team, and they're going to give us a big challenge.
Canada will return to this facility on Friday for their final training session in Canada at the World Cup, before flying to Los Angeles on Friday night and a press conference on Saturday ahead of the game against South Africa.
Thank you very much, KJ. This is the bracket as it stands right now. There are 4 matches from the entire round of 32 confirmed. South Africa, Canada, the Dutch, Morocco, USA, and Bosnia-Herzegovina. And on the other side, Brazil and Japan. But if you look at Canada's quarter of the bracket, what could be Germany, Paraguay, France, Sweden, the Dutch, and Morocco, it certainly will not be easy for Jesse Marsh's side to try to advance, but Canada being amongst those nations is certainly quite the accomplishment in its very own right. Christian Jack teased it. South Africa is next. We will dive deeper into what Canada will face on Sunday after the break. You are watching Bet365 for the win on One Soccer.
For the Win on One Soccer is presented by Bet365.
The game isn't over yet, but Gary just got paid with Bet365's early payout when his team went up 2 goals. Now, Gary can't stop celebrating. And honestly, we're not even sure he knows how.
Or forever hold this.
Download the Bet365 app and get paid out early when your team goes up 2 goals.
pressing here. Oh, what a move. That is a quality ball. Now the run into the box.
We were there for your first game together. The day you taught him the rules and the answer for every question. We've been there for the good times and a few moments we don't talk about. And now,
who won the most Canadian Classics?
It's a passion you can share. And we're just happy we could be there. 20 years, and we're still growing together.
For the Win on One Soccer is presented by bet365.
Scenes last night from Monterrey, where the match was played, through Johannesburg, Cape Town, and everywhere in the South African diaspora, as the African side upset Korea Republic 1-0 through Thapelo Maseko in the 63rd minute. What's an occasion for Hugo Bruce, the 74-year-old manager of South Africa, who has announced he's retiring at the end of this tournament, but his side said, "You're not retiring just yet, coach." Here he was at the podium following the full-time whistles.
Today, I saw the South Korean team what I expected. It's a team who has much speed in the team. It's a team who runs a lot. It's a team who try to find the space behind the defense. And we knew that. But we also know that we can recuperate the ball, that we have space. And that's why I think we played a very good tactical game today. So when the Koreans had the ball, we tried to cover all the spaces, and I think we succeed there very good. But when we had the ball, it was dangerous for them because we used the spaces also that they gave us. We have quick players, we have the players who can find those spaces, and we had today also a player, Mofokeng, who can give those passes and play between the lines. And this is, I think, the reason why we could win today against South Korea. At the end of the game, yeah, you are desperate when you're 1-0 down and you want to equalize because that means that you should be qualified for the next round. So that we knew also that those balls would come. So we took a very good position in that, and there was nearly not a dangerous, really dangerous opportunity for South Korea to equalize. So again, I think we were today maybe a little bit better tactical than South Korea. I'm very proud of the performance of my team, and I think we gave an answer to all those big mouths of the last weeks that thought that we had to change something, or that told us also what we had to do. We just did what we did. We just did what I wanted to do, and this is the result. I'm very happy for my group.
Well, I have two of my favorite big mouths right here to talk about South Africa, who Canada will be facing on Sunday. Look, as he said, this is a tactical team, a team that can be organized and dangerous. Yet when you look at the form, only one match that they won from their previous 5, it was a friendly against Jamaica, and goals scored 1-0, 1-0-1. Amy, this is not going to be a team that's going to outscore Canada, but maybe the kryptonite, a team that's going to be really difficult for the Canadians to break down.
Really compact defensively, rapid on counterattack. So Canada is going to have to be at the ready and swarm them, especially be wary of those transitional moments and not let them kind of get ahead of steam and to play into space. We've seen Canada look vulnerable on that in both of the preparatory matches versus Uzbekistan and also versus Ireland. A little bit better. We saw it against Bosnia a little bit. Canada's tightened that up. You saw it versus the Swiss. Like, that high press was broken much too easily. So they're going to have to be wary of this. And Marsh also alluded to it. Fast, physical team. So Canada's going to have to be at the ready for this opponent because it's there for the taking for sure. But you have to treat the team and deal with the team that's in front of you, and that's South Africa. And they're going to be chomping at the bit to take it to Canada.
Jimmy.
Look, what I do like about this manager as well is that he's brought discipline to this team. He's very, very strict on discipline. They're an organized team. They work hard for one another. Most of their players came from Mamelodi Sundowns or Orlando Pirates. So they're a group of guys that really know each other very well. They've got a great keeper in Rowan Williams, who's been absolutely solid at the back. Lyle Foster, Burnley striker as well, who a lot of people are familiar with. But what I do like about him is he's not afraid to change his tactics and adapt to the games. Whether he's going to play a 4-3-3 or he'll go with a 3-5-2. He varies it depending on the opposition, and he will change his personnel to suit the system that he wants to play against this opposition. It will be a tough game. They're going to be very organized. They're going to expect to get at it on the counter when it suits them and when the timing is right. But for me, Canada has got to be up for this match for 90 plus minutes. They have to be dialed in, have to be focused. And like he said as well, Hugo Bruce, his team can play in the spaces, they can adapt to situations, and Canada has to be on their toes throughout this match because it's not a bad side playing South Africa. And I know a lot of people are saying, oh, this is a great one for us, South Africa. They are very good and they can be dangerous.
Jimmy, it's really interesting, the idea of playing an entire 90 minutes, because there's so much from what we saw in that Swiss match that was great. And then 11 minutes of near disaster for Canada, which they simply cannot afford to have in the knockout round. So aside from just tightening up those areas, no concentration laps, the footballing basics, what other adjustments does Jesse Marsh have to make, either tactically or personnel-wise, to see this result, knowing suddenly we could see Canada play extra time for the first time in this tournament?
Well, look, he's got to stick to the game plan. We know the way that Jesse likes to play. It's at high intensity, everybody on the same page. One thing that I think we have to do, and this is where a possibility Moyes ends up coming in, because South Africa is very good in the counter. They have a lot of pace. And at times when we go and press, our defenders are exposed at the back. And you have to be able to defend 1v1. And Moyes Bambito is probably the best at doing that and can deal with those situations. So with the personnel that you're saying, I think maybe this is a game for Moyes Bambito, who can be at the back and who can clean up when needed.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think that Canada's at their best when they stick to their identity, when they're playing high tempo, like really high aggression football, which we didn't necessarily see in the start versus the Swiss. And when they got good is when they really put their foot on the gas pedal and got going. So I agree with Jimmy about Moyes Bambito. I think if you're going to use him, maybe Marsh, a little bit of pragmatism, a little bit of gamesmanship, which we've seen, you keep him to start this game. I think it makes sense. It would be a big call, but he's done that over the course of this tournament. You know, the first game to not start Laren, he starts Tanny. The triple sub, he's made a number of them. He elects to start Ali Ahmed for that second game. And they look like coups, like they've worked out. So I wouldn't be surprised if he went for something like this. But Canada really need to knit together their lines much more compact. So your triggers on your high press, you were probably going to have much more of the ball versus South Africa than you did versus the Swiss. But in those moments, much tighter in possession, and then the counter press is key. You put this team under pressure, and you don't give them space to run. Because we saw Maseko, it wasn't just the goal, and it was almost like a little bit of chaos in the stadium. Results were coming in from the other match. The Mexican fans were kind of going crazy, and there was a little bit of a lapse with South Korea. Canada can't afford to do that versus South Africa. They have to dictate the tempo. And the midfield, again, I mean, we saw what happened with Eustachio when he gets inserted into that match. You see the leadership and you see the calmness. You saw everything that he imbued into this squad. Stefan Eustachio, for me, is a must in the midfield to dictate the tempo and to control the match.
Jimmy, one of the consequences, or at least the biggest consequence, we all knew for Canada to not win the group, they had to leave Canada. They won't play there again for the rest of the tournament, no matter how far they go. The opponent we now know ends up being a bit of a gift. I'll talk about that in a moment. But the biggest consequence is the amount of time between games. They're playing Sunday. Had they won, they would have been off until the day after Canada Day to rest, recover. I want to know, though, is it maybe a good thing, Jimmy, that they have less time to mentally reset, not lick their wounds, and come back? How do they take care of that mental preparation on such short rest?
Well, look, sometimes when you end up losing a match, you want the next game to come quick so that you can get going again and get things right and rectify situations that didn't go well for you. In this situation, I think it's going to suit Canada. I do. I think they'll be ready for this. They're going to be up for it. They'll review the tape. They'll look at certain situations in the Swiss match that didn't go well for them. They'll look at the positives that came from it. And as players, after a loss, like I said, you want to get back on that pitch and get the next game going as quick as possible because you want to go prove to everybody that you deserve to be there and you're there to get 3 points. It's a knockout game. It's a must-win for Canada, and they're going to be up for this match.
Amy?
Yeah, for me, I think the last match, match day 3, it looked like the occasion got Canada a little bit. They looked a little bit tired as well, whether that was mental or whether it was physical. Sometimes you need to get punched in the mouth or kicked in the teeth to see how you're going to react. Okay, so they get a do-over. That was a must-win in order to top the group and to do something historic, which they'd done, the point and the win, and then they go on to knockouts. But they could have topped the group. They don't. So yes, quick turnaround to Jimmy's point, but you have a chance again. You get the do-over versus this team, which is a little bit of a gift that you get in this opponent that you wouldn't have gotten if you topped the group. So now you hope that this team has learned their lesson and they're able to translate that into a better comprehensive performance where they have nothing to lose. You will not get a do-over in the round of 32, so everything must be on the line, and I'm convinced that this team psychologically will be prepared to the best of their ability.
Okay, so it would be Houston, July the 4th for whoever comes through this game. And if you ask Bet365, Amy, it should be Canada, 4-1 favorites, to go on and win this match. Korea Republic, had it been them, world number 30, Republic of South Africa, world number 54. We've talked about sort of the makeup personnel and tactics wise, but just in terms of this is what has landed in Canada's laps, how much of an opportunity is this to make some history, to make even more history?
Yeah, it's huge. I think this is absolutely the way it's been framed. It is a little bit of a gift, but this team has to get back to their identity and what they do best, and that's playing high aggression, high tempo football, like I've mentioned, and you're going up against an opponent that their pathway to success is very similar. So on the day, you need your big players to show up. If there's little tweaks to the 11, then you need those players to show up and play their best football. And I don't know if you're going to see it, but I think this team understands you've left the comforts of home, and now, you know, that Steve Nash speech about the tension versus the expression, or the tension versus the freedom. I think now you see Canada shackles off and they're able to perform to the utmost of their abilities.
Jimmy, I'm not worried about there not being enough pressure on this Canadian team. I think they'll all feel it and understand it. But in a world where, if we are to assume and believe that this is a gift, does that level of pressure ratchet up to get through and go to the round of 16?
Look, at international football, professional football, you welcome pressure. That's why you play the game, because you can deal with it. You can handle pressure. For those players, they'll be together in the dressing rooms, in the hotel, and they know the outside noise. They block all that, but they'll be cherishing this moment, thinking, I can't believe we're in the round of 32. This is a game when it comes to the knockouts that you can't afford to play. You can't afford to make mistakes. You got one shot at this. So the only thing that with Canada, they have to realize is they can't play scared. They have to stick to their game plan, not worry about the outside noise. They can deal with the pressure. Pressure is welcome, but they have to stick to the task. They have to get the job done. And for these players, they're all playing in top leagues around the world. And this is just another game for them. And they'll be thinking as well in the back of their heads, this is another opportunity for us to make history. We've made a lot of history so far, but let's keep this momentum going and let's create even more history.
Plenty of attention on Canada as one of the 3 co-hosts of this tournament. But now that we get to the round of 32, this is the first match of the knockout round, and it is the only match on Sunday. They will kick off from Los Angeles Stadium at 12 local time Pacific. That is 4 Atlantic. The match can be found on TSN. Will they play? Won't they play? And how big is that list? Alphonso Davies, Moise Bombito, Stefan Eustaquio, and some Jesse Marsh sound bites. That's all to come when Arash Madani joins the show after the break. You're watching Bet365 for the win.
For the Win on One Soccer is brought to you by General Mills. For the Win on One Soccer is brought to you by Turkey Farmers of Canada.
In Canada, our future stars don't simply show up on the world stage. They are built from the ground up, right here in the heart of our communities.
Come on. Oh, lovely through ball there, Isaiah Johnson! Goal for Halifax!
From a childhood dream to the national team.
Jacob Shuffle, good! Yes! He's done it! Canada on top of the footballing world!
We are Canada, driven by Volkswagen.
And for Canada, BMO.
After 20 years of supporting the game, we're actually going to play in one. Let's go! So what do you need? Precision striker, rock solid left back?
We need a coin.
For the coin toss? Oh, yeah, sure. I mean, I get it. Can I at least flip it? Heads or tails? I'll do that. We're on TV right now. Yeah.
Hey neighbor, meet Walmart Plus, the new membership that does delivery differently. I'm talking unlimited free same-day delivery, free shipping, and no order minimum. And it comes with a Crave subscription too. Yeah, it's like a 2-for-1. Try it free for 30 days. Walmart Plus.
For the Win on One Soccer is brought to you by Samsung.
What did we learn? Well, we learned first of the opportunity lost. No more marches of red and smoke through Vancouver streets. No more home field advantage. No extra energy for a team that plays with such emotion. We learned how valuable the extra days off would have been. Now with Eustaquio not 100%, Bombito not used, and Davies, well, if we could learn anything truthful about Davies anytime soon, we'd take it. We learned this team needs Alphonso now more than ever. We learned Promise David is what this team requires. The spark, the finishing. We learned Saliba isn't afraid. The moment isn't too big for him. We learned Tejan Buchanan is not him. We learned Alistair Johnston's headers need more spice. That Derek Cornelius may just be in his own head near the goal. And we learned that without Kone, it's vital the midfield has Eustaquio. And here's what else we may not have learned, but we're reminded of. This tournament is so wild that the South Africans gave Canada more life. We learned that somehow the best matchup of all just landed on their lap. We learned there's no more time for games and decoys and any of the rest. It's the knockout stage, playing for keeps. We're about to learn that in these uncharted territories, that if we are to be a soccer nation, it's time to perform and behave like one from here on out.
Welcome back to This Is Our House, presented by Samsung, and welcome back to our pal Arash Madani, who joins us today from beautiful Saskatoon, Saskatchewan. Arash, 12 days since you and I last spoke. It kind of feels like 12 weeks, and then you consider the last 24 hours, which, as you have just done, was a story in its own right. From Jesse Marsch post-match, should we have played a back five? I think we should have, to Alphonso Davies was never going to play. He was always going to be a decoy. So much to unpack, including the fact we now know who Canada will play on Sunday in Los Angeles. But to start us off, there was something else that Jesse Marsch said post-match that caught your attention. What was that?
Yeah, it was, somebody asked him about the way they were so passive to open the match, and especially the second half. And one thing that Marsch said, he said, when the occasions get momentous, the players are getting a little tighter. And Adam, that kind of struck me, considering everything that they've said about these players over the Marsch era. And Marsch also said, when they get tight, the natural reaction is to hold back instead of going for it more. I'm really starting to wonder here, Adam, at some point when the coach, other than the back five comment, is going to take a little more accountability for the way this team is coming out to open matches, the way they're coming out in the second half especially. Like, there is no margin for error anymore. Like, I'm fully with him when he said we need to find ways to put together complete performances, make sure we're on top of all the details over 90 minutes. Yes, there's no question. But, you think back to the way the Swiss handled themselves, their experience showed, their smarts showed, and they also were able to smell blood. Whenever there was an opening, they went for it and they capitalized on it. Canada needs to grow up and quick in a lot of different ways, and we'll see if they can do it on 3 days rest going to LA against South Africa.
And we'll see if those 3 days of rest will miraculously heal Alphonso Davies to the point at which he can feature. Jesse Marsch, I don't know if it was tongue-in-cheek anymore. I don't really know what to believe. Answered the question of will he play on Sunday with yes. Will he play on Sunday, or will he start on Sunday? Who knows? So that's obviously hyperbolic in some ways from Jesse Marsch. He admitted as much. It is a sound bite, but it also illustrates the factor, Ash, we have been playing the will they, won't they, with not just Davies, Moise Bombito, suddenly Steph Eustáquio is absent for the first half, so there's more injury questions at this stage in the tournament than perhaps we would have thought there would be. When it comes to the big boys, though, in the backline, Davies and Bombito, are you expecting one, both, or neither to see the field against South Africa?
Davies has to play, Adam. He has to. Otherwise, why is he on the roster? Like, why would you occupy one of the precious few spots for a dude if he, like, to me, when they were down 1-0, if not then, when? So if it's not going to be in a knockout stage match, then, what is Alphonso Davies kind of doing in this mix? So to me, he has to be in the mix. The way Marsch answered the question, especially in the aftermath of this whole decoy nonsense, you got the sense that Alphonso will go. Bombito, I believe that he's going to go also. They're suggesting that it could be in a starting role. We'll see there. But you mentioned Eustáquio too. And I don't know what's happening there. Obviously, he missed that first day of training after the Qatar match. And, the messaging from Marsch was he just couldn't go full. He couldn't start full. And Steph told people in the mix zone, if I could, I would have. Yeah, Davies, Bombito, critical. Eustáquio, like, without Kone, there's nobody in the middle. Like, you need an air traffic controller, and the dude who's been wearing the armband has been that for them. To me, in the priority scale, like, Eustáquio and Davies are absolutely there, and then I guess Bombito one little notch below. you can't go into the knockout stage. You can't go into a knife fight with a spoon. And so let's see what they have in store.
It was one thing to lose Ismail Kone, and then to see the starting 11 come out and have neither Kone or Shakio in there. Suddenly, some alarm bells were certainly
you're shocked,
raised.
right? Like I didn't see it coming. Yeah.
Well, I think the one thing we did see coming was Maxime Crépeau. Finally, we're not asking that will he, won't he question about Canada's starting goalkeeper. And look, I think there is rightful criticism on the second goal, but that first save in the first half, I sat there going, that is why Maxime Crépeau is in the net. For moments like that, how different could things have been if it's 15, 20 minutes into the match and Canada's trailing 1-0? I digress. Zooming out from a match-by-match picture, Arash, since he took the net and was named before the match in Montreal at Stade Saputo, he got that raucous home crowd ovation. How do you think Maxime has handled the pressure and performed as Canada's number one?
He has been, Adam, the conscience of this team. He has been the steadying force, forget on the pitch for a moment, just off of it. The way he's handled himself, the way he speaks, the eloquence in the aftermath of the Kone injury, the way he was able to gather some of the players in the immediate aftermath on the pitch after Ishmael went down, and just how thoughtful he's been in the way he talks about his teammates, the team, the opportunity, and obviously with what's going on family-wise. What may have been forgotten also, like, yes, he made himself big. He made that terrific save early in that match against Switzerland. What may have been forgotten, what was it, the 54th, 55th minute against Bosnia? He made an incredible save, getting his foot ankle on a breakaway that would have made it 2-0. And how different is our entire conversation over the last, 3 weeks, if not for that? So you take all of that into consideration, but still that second goal was weak against the Swiss. Let's call it what it is. As vital as Crépeau has been, as important as he is, and again, when the margins are this small, that first stop was so critical. He didn't have a chance on the first one against the Swiss, but the second one has to be made. And so this is it. This is all of it. And when all of it kind of comes to a head now in the knockout stage, he has to be his best now, better than his best when his best is required.
One of 11 and one of an entire match day squad that needs to be their best for Canada's biggest ever match at the men's senior level. We know Arash Madani will be watching closely. Thanks for the chat, pal. We'll catch up again soon. And now time to introduce you to a pair of soccer super fans who are being paid 71,000 Canadian dollars to sit in a glass living room in Times Square and watch all 104 World Cup matches. Austin Franklin and Kevin Akoto. For many, this is a dream. In fact, it was such a proposition for Akoto. Quit his job to go on and become one of the chief World Cup watchers. I'm certainly not getting paid $71,000 to do this. Let's hear from them now.
I think the main thing that's probably surprised me about this, two things. One is how easy it is to forget that you're in a glass cube in Times Square. Like, we'll be, especially if the match is really intense, you get sucked in and you're watching for like 15 minutes, and I'll look over at Kevin, and then I'll be like, whoa, there's like people outside. Like, it really does at times feel like I'm in my own living room. And then the other amazing thing is just how many people have watched with us.
So 104 matches with another person. You've never met them before. Listen, we're trying to watch a lot of football here, Amy Welsh, but what do you think of this? Is this the dream or is this a nightmare?
This is a dream, Jenko. It's 104 matches. They've been coming fast and furious, so the football isn't overwhelming. It's my life around the football that has become overwhelming. My marriage, I'm a mom to 3 kids, end of the school year, I'm just barely hanging on here. So give me the glass cube and give me the glass cube all day long.
Jimmy?
That is not for me. You couldn't pay me enough to be in that thing. The problem is, too, I sleepwalk sometimes, so I don't know where I'd end up in that glass box in the middle of the night. People are walking by. It wouldn't be a pretty sight, but not for me. There's no way I could be stuck in that. Even us sitting here, as soon as we get a couple of minutes, I have to walk away to go get a coffee, do something.
Yeah.
There's no way I could just sit on a couch and watch 104 games.
Well, I also know I wouldn't want to be with you in that. You would be insufferable. And Janko, as the Australia fan, too many Aussie, oi, oi, ois pass.
Don't forget about
100%.
the Kiwi chants. They're coming too. We'll talk about the Aussies and the Kiwis in just a little while. And no toilets, but they do get hotel rooms every single night. But that seems like quite the day for the two chief World Cup watchers. You know, there's a few chief CPL watchers out there, and they'll be elated to know that the Canadian Premier League is back on Friday. A coastal clash, Halifax and Pacific Cavalry and Super will play Sunday, and then plenty of football on Canada Day as well. Time for a break. When we return, we will hear from Oliver Platz at Toronto Stadium. He is there to preview Senegal and Iraq and was able to attend the training and hear from the coaches today. That's next on Bet365 for the win.
For the Win on One Soccer is brought to you by General Mills. For the Win on One Soccer is brought to you by Turkey Farmers of Canada.
We were there for your first game together. The day you taught him the rules and the answer for every question. We've been there for the good times and a few moments we don't talk about. And now,
Who won the most Canadian classics?
it's a passion you can share. And we're just happy we could be there. 20 years, and we're still growing. Together.
Hey neighbor, meet Walmart Plus, the new membership that does delivery differently. I'm talking unlimited free same-day delivery, free shipping, and no order minimum. And it comes with a Crave subscription too. Yeah, it's like a 2-for-1. Try it free for 30 days. Walmart Plus.
Canada are really pressing here. Oh, what a move. That is a quality ball. Now the run into the box.
It.
A player Mike bet on just missed an open net tap-in and got subbed off.
I could have scored that in jeans.
Mike doesn't know it yet, but thanks to Bet365's sub-on play-on,
The net was wide open.
his prop bet rolls over to the fresh leg sub coming on. So if the sub scores, Mike still wins.
False alarm, people. My bet's still good.
If your player gets subbed, your bet plays on.
For the Win on One Soccer is brought to you by Samsung.
Okay, so just about done the matches today. Still 2 to play. Turkey and the United States of America, Paraguay and Australia. And then tomorrow, heavy hitters collide. Norway and France. Cabo Verde, who unfortunately are on the ropes against Saudi Arabia, Uruguay, Spain, Egypt, Iran, New Zealand, and Belgium. The list goes on. And how about Senegal and Iraq from Toronto Stadium? And that's where Oliver Platz is. Earlier today provided an update for us following the Senegalese and Iraqi trade.
Senegal entered this World Cup viewed as potential dark horses, but the tournament so far has been a continuation of a chaotic year. Senegal's Africa Cup of Nations final against Morocco, played in January, remains embroiled in legal dispute, while a pre-tournament contract crisis concerning their coach, Pap Chow, was only resolved when it was escalated all the way to the president of the country. There's been stories of turmoil within the camp since the tournament started, and defeats against France and Norway in their opening 2 games have left Senegal in a must-win situation here at Toronto Stadium, where they'll face Iraq in their final group game. Despite the 2 defeats, though, there is a more straightforward path to the knockout rounds than you might think for Senegal. Obviously, 8 third-place teams will progress to the round of 32, so Senegal needs to get in front of 4 others in order to advance. They could do that with a win of 2 goals or more against Iraq. That will automatically send them above South Korea and Scotland, both of whom have already concluded their group stage yesterday. While if Ecuador don't beat Germany and Curacao don't beat Ivory Coast, that would also be a 3rd team that Senegal could jump in front of. So they'd only need 1 more from the remaining 6 groups in terms of results going their way in order to advance. That could then make things interesting. Senegal would be a team that few would want to face in the round of 32, and few group winners would see as much of a reward. Their most likely opponent right now would be England in that round. If Senegal want to meaningfully extend their stay at this tournament, though, they will need to tighten things up defensively, having conceded 6 goals through the opening 2 games, and they have some injury concerns there. It sounds as if Edouard Mendy, who went off injured against Norway, will not be available for this match. Kalidou Koulibaly, the captain, was declared fit, but he's been struggling for fitness all tournament. As for Iraq, they are still technically in this competition as well, but face a much bigger uphill struggle given a -6 goal difference. More realistically, they will be looking to get their first point ever at a World Cup in their 2nd tournament. Their head coach Graham Arnold said they have nothing to lose and everything to gain going into this final match of the group stage here at Toronto Stadium.
Oliver Platt live on location, powered by General Mills. Time to move forward to some players to watch, presented by TELUS, who are proud to partner with soccer organizations across Canada, helping to raise the game from grassroots to elite levels. Amy Walsh, 40-year-old Vozinha, he's captured the hearts and minds of so many at this World Cup.
He has indeed, and with Norway and France on the docket, it seems strange that I'm going with Vozinha and Cabo Verde, but that's where I'm going, because they've drawn Spain improbably, and they've drawn Uruguay, scored 2 goals. So it's been all about resilience, about heart, defensive masterclass, but this team is brave on both sides of the ball. They've got wind in their sails. I'm rooting for them, and it's really hard to not like this guy. So can they replicate the performance and then probably get out of the group? Anything is possible, and I'm totally backing this team.
Jimmy Brennan with a shocking pick for his player to watch, Erling Haaland.
Erling Haaland, and the reason being is because they're playing against France, which should be a spectacular game. We know on paper that the players that France has, but Erling Haaland, can he carry his team and win this game and win the group? He's been absolutely dynamite so far, leading the way, leading the line, just his presence, his big frame in and around the box. Is he going to get the service that is needed? Can he produce a little bit of magic on his own? This is going to be an exciting match, and I'm going to keep my eye on Erling Haaland, and it's going to be 2 superstars, Mbappe and him, and it's going to be great to see what the outcome is and who's going to end up winning the match.
Surely going to be a thriller, and that match part of what I am calling my loony bets. Because if you bet a loony, you could still do all right, and the odds of this happening would maybe make me a lunatic, but I digress. Norway and France, as Jimmy mentioned, I'm going over. There's some goals in this game. Heck, it might even be Mbappe and Haaland to take me there. New Zealand, a win or a draw, and 2 to 4 total goals in the match. This is the one that really inflates the numbers, plus 750. I expect the Americans to win, but I expect Turkey to actually get on the board and show a little fight before they go home. And this is just a little sweetener at the end. Paraguay, Australia, I have the Aussies, but a draw is no bet. That is plus 18,028 for my parlay of the day. I recommend it to all if you are so inclined to have a little bit of fun on what will be a very busy day. Amy Walsh, Norway and France. Norway, the surprise, or at least one of them of this tournament so far, showing they're more than just Holland and a perennial favorite in the French, pardon me. Who are you taking?
I think I'm going to go with Norway here. I think they're the underdogs. I think they might surprise. I think you might see more rotation in the French squad. We know they're incredibly deep as a team, but I look for Norway to surprise and to move on and wind in their sails themselves. I mentioned it with Cabo Verde, but I think Norway might have France's number.
Jimmy?
Look, Holland's in my player
giggling.
spotlight. I've got to back him. I'm going to go with Norway. Listen, we know how good France is. We know how dynamic they are going forward. They've got so much depth and world-class players. But I just think with this Holland team, where they're at right now, or Norway side, where they're at right now, I think they might just squeak a result here.
It's for the top of the group as it stands. The group winners would play Sweden. The runners-up would play Cote d'Ivoire. Let's move on to our next line, our next match tomorrow from it. And I want the first word from Jimmy Brennan in Toronto. The African nation favored -450, Iraq +1,200, or a draw at +550.
I'm taking Senegal. Senegal is going to win this match, in my opinion. I just think they're going to be too much for Iraq. I like the way that they play, the pace. They're organized. They're a fun side to watch. So I'm going with Senegal.
Yeah, I'm going to be boring and say Senegal as well. Echo Jimmy's sentiments. I think it's going to be tightly contested, but maybe more open than we might expect, given what's up for grabs. And I think, Senegal is, as Ollie said, maybe the dark horse of this tournament, but they've got to prove it versus Iraq.
Okay, Amy, you just saw the Jenkins Looney bet. You also know my reaction if you make the wrong choice here. But Belgium have been poor. We've played this song before. The Kiwis at +1,600. Are you tempted?
Oh, I might be, because they do need the win. So again, they're going to be
and Chris
pushing
Wood
here.
has been bad.
Yeah, but good opening game for Chris Wood.
Very good opening
and
game.
The way that he's pairing with is it Just? The young
Elijah
kid?
Just?
Yeah, so I think I like that. So I'm going to go underdog again, and I'm going to choose the Kiwis.
Yes, Jimmy.
I would like to, because I'm a fan of Chris Wood. Big fan.
I know you are.
But I think with this match, I think Belgium's going to be a little bit too much for them. I think they've still got the star players on that team, and when they need to be called upon in big games, they'll end up getting the result against New Zealand. I don't think that New Zealand's going to have enough to knock off Belgium.
All right, well, when my parlay hits, Amy's in, Jimmy's out. Let's move on to Egypt and Iran, +145 for the Egyptians. Iran, who have the World Cup experience, +275. The draw, though, really tempts me here. Jimmy, what do you think?
I think Iran. I'm going to back them. I think they've gone through so much, and I think that's actually brought the team together. And I like the brand of football that they play. They've got great energy, good work ethic. They're detailed, and for me, I think this is a match that they're gonna win.
Amy?
I'm going to play contrarian. I'm not going to go draw like you suggested, Jenkins, and I'm not going to go Iran like Jimmy suggested. I'm going to go Egypt. I think you saw the images of Mo Salah and the team celebrating their win, their first ever World Cup win, which sounds ridiculous. And I think they're going to be buoyed by that performance and that result and carry it through to this matchup versus Iran.
That second half against New Zealand was an absolute beatdown from Egypt. Okay, Cabo Verde, +150. This is not a lie. They are favored against Saudi Arabia. Cabo Verde, Amy, incredible.
I love it. This is the Cinderella story. This is why I underlined Vizinha as my player to watch. So backstopped by this 40-year-old player who shot to superstardom when he was able to keep Spain off the score sheet, and then they did it again versus Uruguay, but then they were able to muster up some offense, tied them 2-2. So I think they keep it going. So like we've mentioned against Senegal as a potential dark horse. We've mentioned also Turkey. Somebody forgot to tell them that they were the dark horses at this tournament, right? So maybe all along it was Cabo Verde.
Jimmy?
Yeah, I'm going to go Cabo Verde as well. I think this is their group. I think they've showed it against Uruguay and Spain, just how good they are. They're a hard team to break down, playing against Saudi Arabia. I think they're going to win this match and finish in the group with 5 points, and they won't be finishing third.
Okay, we'll finish Group H with Spain and Uruguay, who are currently first and second in the group. South American win would win them the group, though they are heavily underdogs, Amy, at +550.
Yeah, you know what? I'm going to go draw with this one. I think that we've seen Spain open up. I think Uruguay and Bielsa have been stifled a little bit. They've looked kind of hot and they've looked cold, kind of up and down, riding those ebbs and flows. So I'm going to say both teams cancel each other out, and I'm going to say draw.
At +320. Jimmy?
I'm taking Spain. Spain's going to win this match for me. It's going to be a great match of football, but I genuinely think Spain's got a little bit too much for Uruguay. And like I said before, Cabo Verde are going to win. Uruguay's going to finish third in that group.
That could be quite the match if it ends up being Cabo Verde and Argentina in the round of 32, as it is currently projecting to do so. Okay, time to get out of here. My two Hall of Fame friends and pundits today. Are either of you joining me on the Looney Bet train? No. From neither Jimmy nor Amy, no takers. That's probably wise. It's called the Looney Bet for a reason. Listen, if I win, if I hit, you may never see me again with the plus 18,000 odds, which are subject to change. For our One Soccer crew, my name's Adam Jenkins. That's Amy Welsh and Jimmy Brennan. This has been Bet365 for the win. Thanks for joining us, and we'll talk to you again tomorrow.